really wanted to make a quick video about abandonment issues. I am not an expert. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm none of those things. However, I am someone who has struggled with abandonment issues since as long as I can remember. So abandonment issues are when you feel a threat of somebody leaving you, or abandoning you, not caring about you, kind of rejecting you in a way, and you freak out about it inside. And that could be in a bunch of different ways. You could freak out by getting super clingy and attached to them, and what happens is you'll be sitting there and all you can do is think about them. All you can do is think about what you can do to win back their validation, their attention, their approval, their love, their care, their respect. Literally, that's what your brain is doing, is strategizing. So for some people, it means getting clingy. For some people, it means kind of rejecting them or ghosting them or giving them the cold shoulder as to make them feel your absence and kind of come back to you, and kind of make them crave you, basically. So sometimes people do that. Sometimes people will put the other person down, not intentionally, but they'll do little things to make the other person feel less than, because they want to kind of make the other person say to themselves, oh, I need to be good enough for this other person, which is funny because really that's what's happening in the abandonment issue person's head, is they're trying to figure out a way to make themselves good enough for the other person. So abandonment issues basically stem from needing validation, love, care, respect from another person. And it stems from experiences from the past, usually from childhood, but it could be from when you're older. So it could be from, maybe a really bad breakup, or maybe somebody died. And as a kid, it could have been something like one of your parents wasn't really present with you. Or maybe they weren't there at all. Like maybe your dad left the family or your mom left the family. Or maybe one of them had substance abuse issues and didn't know how to really care for you. Or maybe your parents made you feel not good enough when you were a kid and made you feel like you didn't deserve their presence, their love, their attention, their care, their warmth. It could be any of those things. So what happens is when you feel that way as a child, mentally so much, but you physically, your nervous system freaks out because it's a very physical feeling. Your nervous system freaks out because it's sending the signal throughout your body that you are about to be missing a really important source of things you need for survival. So it really is about survival. You feel like you cannot survive without that person, or without their attention, without their validation. Because when you're a kid, if one of your parents is not paying attention to you, is not giving you care the way that you need it, then your body says, I will not get the things that I need to survive, to live, because I rely on this person to give them to me. And they are not doing that. They're showing signs that they are not willing or not capable of doing that. So it gets engraved into your nervous system. So as you go throughout life, you deal with relationships that way. If you feel a friend slipping away, or you see that they're just not as attentive towards you, maybe they're starting to spend more time with another friend, or they kind of stop giving you that same energy. Or if it's a significant other, maybe you're dating someone and things were really great, and you kind of feel them like taking space, or kind of not being as excited about you as they were in the beginning. All of those things can trigger that feeling of abandonment, and that feeling of, I am about to lose what I need to survive, which obviously isn't true. You don't need those other people to survive, because you're not a baby anymore. You're not a child. You can survive on your own without them. But try telling yourself that in the middle of a freak out, when your body is screaming at you that you are losing something that you need. That's like dying. It feels like you're dying. And I'm saying this from personal experience. It feels like an anguish. Hold on, I'm gonna get off the freeway because it's really loud. It feels like anguish, like a burning anguish in your body, like in your stomach, in your heart, in your chest. It feels like you are dying, and like you can't, the future is unclear, is uncertain. There's so much uncertainty with that feeling, and it is probably the worst feeling I've ever felt. Believe it or not, the worst feeling I've ever felt. And I never realized, so as I moved through life, I would get this feeling, especially when it comes to like boyfriends and things like that. If I feel them slipping away, maybe they don't even say anything. Maybe like I feel like they're gonna, like even the slightest bit, I feel like they don't like me anymore. They're gonna break up with me. I'm gonna have to, sometimes I will do it first because I'm just so scared, and so like, well, if you're not gonna care about me and give me what I need, then I'm going to just break up with you first, kind of like trying to take your power back, which ends up actually making you feel even more powerless, because it will turn out that you break up with this person and they weren't even like actually feeling that way. Maybe they just needed space, or maybe nothing was actually going on. You just took something the entirely wrong way. And that's the thing, you overthink everything in your relationship. You're so hyper aware of how the person is perceiving you, how their energy is towards you, how they talk to you, how much time they spend with you, how often you're initiating conversation first, how often you're asking them to hang out versus how often they're asking you to hang out. Are they liking your pictures? Like with social media, it makes things so much worse, because that's another thing to like actually fret about. Are they paying attention to you? Are they watching your stories? Like, like little things like that. And it's so it's a nightmare is what it is. It's a complete nightmare. And the reason I wanted to make this video is to explain how I was able to work through that nightmare and let go of some of that abandonment issues. I'm not saying I'm fixed. I really don't know. I won't know until I get triggered again. But I have been triggered by many events in my life. That abandonment issue has been triggered. And I seem to have been able to figure out a way to get myself out of the pit and self-soothe, which is a big deal for someone with abandonment issues, because a big part of it is you're not able to self-soothe and self-validate, and make yourself feel loved without anybody else. So for me, not only does this abandonment anxiety applies to literally pretty much every person in my life, except the people that have proven that they will love me no matter what and be there for me no matter what. So these are those really great, caring people that you're just like, where the hell did you come from? You're an angel. People that look at you, and even when you are absolutely ridiculous, they still love you and want to make you feel cared for. So, I'm not supposed to make a U-turn here, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, every single person in my life has pretty much, or most people in my life have caused that kind of anxiety within me. Like, what can I do to make sure that they always need me, that they always want me, that I'm valuable to them? I want to be, if it means like being exciting for them, if it means like giving them energy, making them happy, all of those things. So because of that, has been very difficult to form actual friendships and relationships with people. I have very few close friends, and I've always been that way. It has been so difficult to open up to people because I'm constantly afraid that if I open up to them, that I am going to get abandoned. And so I just don't open myself up at all, so that way I don't have to suffer that hurt, which has made me suffer even more, because then I feel isolated and I feel alone, and that's also awful, because we need people, we need community, we need connection, and sometimes you can't always get that from your family. So anyways, what I have done, because I never realized I had abandonment issues until literally last week, when I was triggered so severely that I had to figure out what was going on. And oddly enough, so I'm definitely a spiritual person, but oddly enough, I was going through all of this. I couldn't sleep. I could barely eat. I lost some weight, considerable weight within just a week. It was bad. I even triggered an intense migraine, for like a 3-day migraine. That's how bad it was. And what ended up happening was, so I work at a strip club. I'm a stripper. I went into the club one day, and there was a man who had like big crystals all over his body, like big crystal rings, a huge Brazilian quartz necklace. And I asked him, I was like, what is this all about? He's like, I like frequency. And I asked him, I said, do you actually believe that works? And he's like, I know it works. And we got to talking, and he basically just laid out my entire personality, my entire being, in front of me. He said, you're a highly intuitive and sensitive person. And I said, yes, very much so. How did you know that? I am too, he said. And then he went on to tell me that my biggest need in life is to be authentic with myself and authentic with other people. That's like my biggest desire. But I'm scared to do that. I've been scared to do that. And then he asked me, and at this point I was getting emotional, because I had been going through the agony of exactly what he was explaining. He said, because I have this huge desire to be authentic and to share my heart and love, I have a very deep loneliness inside, because I'm also scared of sharing my heart. So if I can't share it, I can't connect with people in that authentic, deep way that I want to. And it is my biggest desire to do so, and I'm not able to do it. So if something's your biggest desire and you can't have it for whatever reason, that's pretty pain-provoking. So I'm crying. He's telling me all of this, and he was asking me, are you seeing, is there a man in the picture? Which there is. And he said you get attached pretty quickly, like you get attached pretty firmly and quickly when you like somebody. And I'm like, yeah, very true. Wish it weren't, but it is. And then he was like, and then when you feel like they kind of pull away a little bit, it triggers that abandonment, that fear of abandonment. And that was the first time somebody had said that, to where it made sense to me and to where I could see how true that was in my life. Because I've heard of abandonment issues before, but never have I ever considered that I had abandonment issues. I thought something else was wrong with me. I honestly went through so many like phases of trying to figure out what the fuck was wrong with me, because this has caused like insane amounts of anxiety and depression in my life. I thought that maybe I was autistic, and because I was autistic, I wasn't able to connect with other people. I thought maybe I was just bipolar or had borderline personality disorder, all of that. And it all fucking clicked. And I was like, you're joking me. That is so spot on. And I couldn't stay at work after that. I had to leave because I had to process all of that. I couldn't stay and like trying to make conversation with other customers and, you know, do my stripper thing. And so I left, and just I've been thinking about that. And finally I looked up abandonment issues on YouTube and ways to overcome abandonment issues. Because when you feel that amount of pain from something, you're determined to figure out how to make it stop. So I'm going to link a video below that helped me tremendously. Like, pretty much has changed my life. It took some time to kind of integrate it. It took a few days. And my body and my soul was so ready to do it. So I've been waking up. I haven't been able to sleep. I've been waking up at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not able to get back to sleep. And the only thing I can think to do that gives me comfort, because when I wake up at those times, the adrenaline is running through my body. It's like I can't, there's no way I can relax unless I walk. So I walk, and every time I get outside, I talk to myself just like I'm talking to the phone right now, and I record it. And it's like my therapy with myself. And I walk and I talk to myself and I process whatever that anxiety, wherever that's coming from. Because I truly believe that a lot of times anxiety is caused by an unresolved issue trying to come to surface. It's trying to get your attention, and we just keep ignoring it, or we can't see the issue for what it is. It's, for whatever reason, we're not able to process it and actually look at it and observe it the way that it needs to be observed, the way it needs to be attended to. So if you ever feel that anxious feeling and you're not really sure where it's coming from, it's not clear, I highly recommend just taking yourself out for a walk and just talking to yourself and really feeling that anxiety, because a lot of the time it will expose what needs to be seen in order for you to move on. The crazy thing is about abandonment issues is once you get older and there's not really a threat when somebody pulls away from you, it's really important to not abandon yourself. And I honestly, that is where the anxiety that you get from abandonment issues when somebody pulls away is not from the person pulling away so much as it is from the fact that you have abandoned yourself in that moment. Because when you feel anxiety about somebody taking away their attention from you, what you do is you tell yourself that you cannot love and care for yourself on your own. You cannot gain that validation from within and from what you already have, and you need to seek it in other places outside of you. And when you have those types of thoughts, you start doing things that maybe you typically wouldn't do. Like if that person wasn't in your life at all, maybe you wouldn't do those things, say those things, wear those things, pay attention to certain things, like certain things. You wouldn't typically do that. And that is all forms of abandoning yourself. And sometimes you'll do things like go out of your way just to be with the person, or go out of your way to make yourself available for the person, and that might mean foregoing some of the things that you doing some of the things for yourself that make you feel like a person and make you feel good, make you feel like you're in your own energy. You kind of take yourself out of your energy and stop feeding your own energy, and you start to feed somebody else's energy is what you do. So when they do, for whatever reason, pull away, which is natural with relationships, or maybe they truly do abandon you and they don't want to see you anymore, they don't want to talk to you anymore, you're left with nothing, because not only have you spent all of your energy towards them, you've abandoned yourself too. So now you're lost and you have absolutely nothing, because you haven't spent the time to cultivate your own love for yourself, your own care for yourself, your own attention to yourself. That's gone. So then you're really lost when they actually do, for whatever reason, pull away. And that was a huge breakthrough for me, because now, instead of like thinking about, okay, what can I do to control the situation so that this person never leaves, I think to myself, what do I need today? What do I need? And how can I give it to myself? And the crazy part is, so for me, when I would feel like I was afraid of someone abandoning me, I would pull away from them also. Like if I felt like they were pulling away, I would also pull away to try to I guess show that, or maybe I wouldn't necessarily pull away, but I would be more selective about when I would talk to them, if I would talk to them. I would stop trying to make plans with them, even though I wanted to see them. And I realized I was denying myself of the person before I even knew whether they were abandoning me or not. Like I took the slightest sign and I would say, okay, I'm just going to deny myself of the person. I'm not going to ask them to hang out. I'm not going to hit them up and see how they're doing. I'm not going to text them when I feel like it. And it makes your interactions with people very fake, because they're all curated. They're all like really thought out. It doesn't come from that natural flow, that natural place of synergy with another person, where the energy just flows and you're going back and forth and you're building on a conversation. It's very like practiced and like perfected, so that you don't sound too eager and you don't sound like too excited about them, and you're not letting on how much you want them, basically, which only makes you desire them even more, because you're holding back that desire within you to tell them like how much you enjoy them and ask them like if they want to hang out. So the crazy thing is, when I started to work through that and kind of cure the abandonment issue, I no longer had fear about I noticed I no longer had fear about asking to hang out or texting the person and seeing how they were doing, because I wasn't afraid of the rejection afterwards. I'm not afraid of them not texting me back, or maybe saying that they can't hang out for whatever reason. I wasn't fearing that anymore. So then I can actually love people and show them that I care without worrying so much if I'm going to get that back, because I'm giving it to myself. And if they give it back, then great, and that will fill me with happiness even more, but I'm already happy and I don't need them to give it back if they're not willing or if they don't want to. And the joy that I get from being able to do that is that authenticity that the dude that I met was talking about. That's my heart's authenticity, saying to the people that I care about you, and it's not about me. Because when you have abandonment issues, you might do things that make people like feel really cared about because you want them to feel good about you. And it's all very selfish because it's needy love. It's, I'm going to do this for you and I'm going to love you in this way because I need and want something from you. And when you start to cure those abandonment issues, you stop giving from that place of neediness, and you start giving from a place of, I'm giving because it makes me happy and I don't really need anything in return. I just want you to feel loved. I don't need anything back. So I don't know. I really hope that this helps somebody else out there that's dealing with this, because it's probably the worst feeling in the fucking world. But yeah, thank you.